California
word.
Yeah, yeah. California grown. Me and the boys doing all we know. Yeah, there's nothing quite like this place that I call home. California grown. Yeah, yeah. California grown.
And here we are without the name that shall not be mentioned. And so I'm Fish from Tower Media Studios, 93Q, and our new 93Q TV on YouTube. You can watch it there. To my right is Scott Anderson, who is the new editor. Well, you're not even new anymore.
2 months.
Yeah, 2 months. He's like an old guy already, of the Appeal Democrat. And then to his right is Ray Bowden, who is one of his star reporters. He's got how many? Two new reporters.
2 new reporters, and we have a full-time reporter in the North State and our sports guy. Sports
guy, Jeff Larson. Everybody loves Jeff. Great stuff. We got a lot of sports in this area. So anyway, today we're gonna talk about a couple of things. But off air, we had begun to talk about the memorial and the events surrounding the bus crash. And the Appeal Democrat is going to do a 3-part series on it. So Scott, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So ever since I've been here for about 2 months now, the team has been working on a 3-part retrospective on the Yuba High Choir bus tragedy that happened 50 years ago. The 50th anniversary is coming up on May 21st. And so it's the biggest joint reporting project we've done as a team, and it will be coming out Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we've had some just amazing cooperation. This series is going to, bring readers the voices of the original reporters, the original emergency responders, and the survivors that live here in the community, those who pulled through this magnitude of disaster that's almost hard to wrap your mind around.
Yeah. So you actually, there's a lot of stories. So you're covering it in 3 different days. So yeah.
Yeah, from different angles and through different voices. Everybody in the series had their own window into this tragedy. So the way it was experienced for the emergency responders is one kind of experience. Obviously, the way the people in the actual crash and those who managed to survive experienced it in a different way, and the journalists who worked here at the time experienced it in their own way, which they had a lot of sort of civic and ethical things they had to navigate through for the good of the community. So we tried to look at all that through the scope of the 3 parts.
And 50 years ago, that's hard to imagine. You think about, where were you 50 years ago, right? I was just a young man. You were like a baby, Kurt.
Well, I was in high school, which I guess could be a baby. Yeah. No, but I was there. I was a junior. I was a junior at Yuba City High, and I still remember where I was when I heard the news. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Major events. I know where I was at when they landed on the moon. When John Kennedy got assassinated, I was in school. And it's like those things are like earmarks, right? It's like at different times in your life.
Yeah, for me, it's the Challenger. I remember the Challenger.
Yeah, that was huge.
And I remember, of course, the morning of 9/11, crystal clear. I remember everything about that whole day. So.
I absolutely, I just couldn't believe it was happening. Even when I saw it on TV, I just couldn't grasp that just happened, right? That was huge.
People didn't talk. I was walking around the town I lived in, and no one was speaking. It was just.
I think we were all in shock. Never had something like that. So I want to mention Ray Bowden, who is one of your new reporters. I had a chance to sit down with Ray, and Scott, you're going to feel a little bit like an outsider in the next 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So myself and Kurt, who went in later, and Ray were all security forces in the Air Force, right? So
strange but true.
Stories. Strange but true. And then so Kurt got out, right? After your first term?
Yeah.
Okay. Ray didn't get out. He just transferred to media, and here he is. Right? So,
I thought about that while I was in, but I don't know. I had a young family, and I had my thoughts on other things, so I didn't decide to get into doing, news production, or not news, but video production until later on. So.
Yeah, it was easy. So, Ray, at what point, how many years were you a cop?
Roughly 13 and a half years.
Wow.
My last Air Force cop base was, in fact, Beale Air Force Base.
Oh, there you go.
And, I loved it here, but something occurred that I realized I would much rather be writing about the first responders and the emergency workers than I would be responding to it myself. And toward the end of my tour at Beale, I was allowed to retrain, so I went into what's known as Air Force Public Affairs, and I did that for just about another 7.5 years. And then I retired, and then I went on to work for a newspaper just outside of Los Angeles for a short while, and then I was recruited to work at the Air Force Academy, and I was their head editor up there for about 10 years. But having said that, I'm very happy to be back in the Yuba-Sutter region, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen with the Appeal Democrat.
Yeah, agreed. How did you find this guy, Scott?
He applied for the job.
What?
I know. It wasn't.
Well,
it
that
wasn't,
made your job easier.
It wasn't some recruitment miracle.
No money changed hands. I did apply.
When I came in, the publisher and Chuck Smith had really had a good feeling about Joe Carrero, but they had two positions open. She had done some reporting remotely from where she was living in Nevada, and they really liked her. So that was easy for me to sign off on. But we still had this other reporter position to fill, and we had a lot of resumes, but of course you just explained why Ray's resume stood out, or the two of you just did. I mean, the publisher and I zeroed in on it right away. We did a remote interview with Ray, and we pulled the trigger on it. We did not sit around having a symposium about possibilities. I just said, let's make the hire,
Well, you could have called Kurt or I and told us, hey, this guy wants to be a reporter and used to be a cop. We'd have said, yeah, makes absolute sense to me.
Yeah. Well, we want to do more coverage of Beale as I mean, I've never served, but my father and brother are career Navy, and I know from just them that a base in a town is part of that town's culture.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge.
I wanted, the opportunity, I should say, to have a reporter that could really not only understand that, but find ways to write stories around that, I thought was, and also just having basic law enforcement background. Ray's beat is just sort of all things in Yuba County, just like Joe's is sort of like all things in Sutter County. So Ray, I knew, would be doing plenty of emergency response and crime reporting as part of his beat, but so he has that deep institutional knowledge about those sort of things too.
Yeah, I think there is something to be said for understanding from the public affairs what Beale, when they're releasing information,
right,
you know how to navigate that.
Right.
And I think that's important because, I've worked with them. We did the air show and did stuff. But when I went back in, I was only in public affairs for a short time and in the Guard. So it wasn't the same.
Right.
So that's a big deal to be able to navigate that.
I think what's easily overlooked is that with any military base, everybody's always talking about the impact that the base has on the community. I think what is equally noticeable, but it kind of gets drummed out, is the fact that if you stick around at any stateside base long enough, you will be affected by the community. So it works both ways.
Yeah.
People like to talk about the economic impact statement, for example, that an installation puts on the community. But there are so many ways that the local community affects the base that are in good ways, that culture. And so I would like to concentrate on those aspects for a while as well.
We have so many veterans in this area. I don't know the exact number, but we have so many, so there's a great appreciation. Do you have the number over there? he is a reporter, Scott. He's got his notepad. He's on it.
He's definitely a details and data guy, which is good.
So just real quick, because I had this with me at our breakfast a few days ago, but don't quote me on the number, except that there are just roughly slightly more than 21,000 veterans who live in Sutter, Yuba, Butte, Nevada, and Colusa counties, according to the Veterans Administration Census Report.
So I just think it's one of those things where it's not, well, Beal's out there. There's a couple of things in the community that I feel that way about. Beal's part of the community. Yeah, it may be out there. It's the same thing with Yuba College.
Right.
It's like, well, Yuba College is out there. Well, what do you mean out there? I mean, how far? At what point does it become out there? Right? It's like it's part of the community, you know. But I do think that having that connection with Beal, I appreciate what you said, because I do think we have an effect on them. How we treat veterans, how we look to Beal to active duty. I've told people Memorial Day is coming up, and invariably somebody will come up and thank me for my service, and it's like, it's Memorial Day. You know, this is for the guys that didn't make it back, right? You don't thank me for my service, right? It's to remember those that didn't make it home.
Well, I think there's a very strong pull in the region for veterans. Toward the end of the month, we're going to put out another prospect issue, and I have an article about veterans, as you're very well aware. And
shocking.
Everyone who I interviewed talked about how much they love the area. They feel at home here. There's a pull to it, and I think that's terrific. It's a terrific community.
Speaking of Prospect Magazine, this team has also been working to completely revamp that publication. The very first issue of that revamp came out on Friday, so I hope everybody takes a look and sees what it looks like now and the direction we're trying to take it. Of course, it's still about local people and culture and topics, but we're trying to revamp it aesthetically, and also in addition to human interest pieces like the one Ray just mentioned that he's working on for the next issue, we're trying to lean more into culinary, trying to lean more into arts and entertainment.
I like that.
And we can lean more into arts and entertainment now. I mean, with Hard Rock Live being this premier, and the Toyota Amphitheater bringing in world-class talent into the Mid-Valley. There's a lot, and it's not just them. We have other venues too that are trying to bring in talent. But we are putting energy into that publication again, so I hope people will check it out. If you haven't got the new issue through a subscription, you can always swing by our office and grab one. But I hope people check it out.
So Scott, I was going to ask you, so you've lived in other areas, right?
Yeah.
And newspaper, it has to fit the area, doesn't it?
Yes.
So you had to kind of come in here and go, well, I got a huge learning curve in 2 months.
Yeah.
Right? Because how do we do this? And so there's some basic elements to any newspaper, right? Things that you report on, et cetera.
Yeah.
But you had to make an adjustment to us. And you made the statement that almost everybody was nice to you.
Yeah.
We were grateful to hear that.
Yeah. Well, in 20 years, I've worked both in rural California as a journalist, and I've worked in urban California as a journalist. And I have both of those experiences. I have years of experience on both sides of it, and I like both sides of it. But I'm from a rural community. I grew up in a ranching community, and I'm very comfortable around ag and around communities that are trying to thrive and have an identity within the agricultural setting. That's something I'm comfortable with. It's because I grew up in that setting. But you're right, every publication has to find its relationship to the community it serves. My first 5 years were at a 160-year-old Gold Rush era newspaper out in the Sierra foothills, and that was one kind of experience. And then I was in charge of the newspaper for all of South Placer County. They're big, which is the big suburban part of Sacramento, Roseville, Rockland, Granite Bay, you know, and that was a whole nother kind of experience. And then I was, and not a bad one. It's just a different experience.
That's really radically different.
Yeah,
right?
and then the last 10 years, I was in the heart of Sacramento's media ecosystem, which is not only Sacramento itself, but you're also at the political heart of the fourth largest economy in the world, right? So that's a whole nother kind of experience. And that's the kind of experience where you do get to have interactions with some people who are running for governor now and get to form opinions about them like face to face and stuff. So that's a whole nother kind of experience. And so but I really have enjoyed my time here. I'm loving to learn about the Mid-Valley. One thing I like about the Appeal Democrat, its overarching coverage zone is so big. It's both a huge challenge to address from a news director's perspective, but it's also a lot of fun in that we cover. Everybody knows we cover Yuba and Sutter County, but we also supposed to be covering Colusa County, and we're also
no, wait a minute, Scott. They're out there.
And
they're farther out than Yuba College.
I will tell you like how the progress of conversations has gone the last 2 months. The first 5 or 6 weeks, we're trying to show Yuba City and Marysville that we could have local front pages. And once we got there. Because once we got there and I think people saw we're trying to walk the walk, I immediately started hearing from the further out foothill communities in Yuba County that like, you know, Oregon House and places like that, like saying like, well, no one covers us at all. And then same with City of Colusa, like it says Colusa right on the top of the Appeal Democrat, like we never see anyone, right? So these are challenges that we got to try to address with a very small crew, while also handling sort of the main thoroughfare of breaking news, which tends to be more around Yuba City and Marysville and Olivehurst and places like that.
Well, it's like you've got two counties that they meet with their two county seats right next to each other. And so I think there is a sense of, well, this is it. Well, you've been Sutter Counties. It's not just these two cities. Now, I mean, I love this. We're community radio, and so we like this. But because of the internet, we reach way beyond these two. And I hear you. I had people from the foothills that somebody helped them come in and do an interview. I think it was called, I'm going to miss it, like Pioneer Day. It was something like that. Great interview. I mean, great event they had going up there. My daughter-in-law is the principal in Browns Valley at the little school up there. So yeah, trying to bring all that in is important, right? It's like, no, just walk outside your office and look around.
So on last Saturday, you probably know there was a lot going on in Marysville. There was the Taco Fest. There was a big block party for the Silver Dollar. There was a lot going on. So I decided I was going to take my girlfriend to that stuff. But before any of it started, she and I spent the first half of the day in the city of Colusa just walking around talking to people.
Such a cool city.
Yeah, and
very
that's,
cool.
you know, and I mean, it was a lot more of like, we never see any reporters here. But also people were just so happy that I was there, you know, and I was like talking to me about what's going on in the city, what their challenges are, and also just showing me what they thought was cool about the town and talking to me about, you know, so we're trying, you know, like we're trying to figure out a game plan. Yeah.
So that's not his beat. That's not
Ray is, well, listen,
So
any of our reporters can interview anyone on an enterprise piece or investigative piece, you know, but for the purposes of incoming calls, incoming press releases, for the purposes of establishing a working knowledge of local government, Ray's assigned to a general Yuba County at-large beat, and Joe Carrero's a general Sutter County at-large beat, and I'm, to the extent it's possible, going to try to do one in Colusa. So, yeah, we'll see.
So everybody, I want you to subscribe to the Appeal so they can raise pay. and hire another reporter.
Yeah,
so
but-
they got breathing room over
But
there.
he will be dealing with the more. So we're very lucky. One of our regular columnists is going to help out with community features up in the foothills.
Yeah.
That's Jay Orland. So we're very lucky there. But Ray's got to handle the actual hard news side of it, and he will have to deal with things like fire season out there and the issues with the.
Colgate.
Yeah, exactly. Took the words out of my mouth.
Colgate Power.
Yeah. So
they work through that
As they work through it, yeah.
So you have, and I asked Chuck about this one time.
Mm-hmm.
So your reporters have designated areas, but they can pick up stuff, right? They hear something, whatever.
Yeah, sometimes-
But
I mean,
you guys have people that not just letters to the editor, but a person can write a column for the Appeal Democrat.
Yeah, we
So-
have at least 3 regular columnists that subscribers will know are in almost every week, and actually it's 3. It's 4. It's sometimes 5 if you count, like, we have a columnist that does fishing topics, local fishing topics,
which is a big thing.
Yeah. So, one of those columnists, Jay Orland, he lives up in near Oregon House, and he just said, "Look, I'm physically up here. I'll help with covering community events. And we would take that kind of help from others too."
That's where I'm going
Yeah,
with this.
we would.
Actually, because I think it's our paper,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
I understand it's right. So for you to edit that paper, that is your job. For your reporters, it's what they do, right?
Yeah.
But it takes a community involvement. We talk about that here in 93Q. I do all these interviews with people. I just had 2 judges in here this morning, which I was a little nervous. But they were nice to me,
Okay.
right? But it's like judges. I know. Wait, what are you talking about with a judge? But so it's like, but it's part of our community.
Yeah.
The judicial system in our area is part of our community, and so you guys just got a lot of ground to cover.
We do. So for the purposes of covering community events and even small businesses, we definitely would be open having conversations with volunteer writers. When it comes to hard news, there's a liability issue, so that's a little different.
Yeah,
When you get
yeah.
into actual governmental policy, whether be it state, local, or all of the sort of liable issues that go with things like crime or things, like that. That's more tricky. We have to have people that are basically paid professionals on staff for all kinds of. Anyone who owns a business knows what I'm talking about. But like for community events and like coverage of small businesses and things like that, we would love to have other volunteer writers help out, because we just talked about how big the coverage zone is. And I'm not even mentioning that we also cover through the Tri-County News publication. We put out Glenn County and Tehama County, but we have a specific reporter assigned to that. So, he kind of actually lives up there and deals with that part of it. And the stuff that's relevant to this area that he writes all channel into the Appeal Democrat too. So Appeal Democrat readers would recognize Jerry Crow's byline, because, he is in the paper pretty frequently with things that are interesting from Tehama, Glen area, right? So
Ray, I have to ask you, because we hear the term reporter. I'm waiting for you. You already got the notepad. You're good there. You just need one of those fedoras, right?
Suspenders.
Suspenders.
with a piece of paper that says "scoop" on it.
Yeah, exactly. That guy. You could be that guy. But if I had to ask you, what is something you just, when you think about, I'm reporting on all the information in the county, but what kinds of things do you really enjoy doing the reporting on? Are there elements that you just go, I want to go do that. I want to talk about that. I want to give that information to the community.
That's easy. Regardless of the subject or the incident or the event, what I'm mostly interested in is expressing the humanity of the people who I
Wow.
interview.
Good.
That's what it is, because we tend to separate ourselves by politics, by all these things, but we have a shared humanity, and I think that's what's important overall. So I hope that answers your question.
Kind of like everything from human interest to
Yeah.
even if it's an incident, it's about the people.
Yeah, it's always
like
about
it.
the people. I mean, of course, there's going to be some hard news where it's going to be more about what happened. But at the end of the day, for me, what I enjoy the most and always have is just getting out, talking to the people, hearing their opinions, hearing their expressions, hearing their side of a particular event, and displaying that in a fair and balanced and equitable way in the articles.
If we had to take a paper apart right here, right, and say, we're going to take it apart. So this is how I think about paper. So bear with me, Scott. Right? So there's the most important section, which is the comics.
Oh gosh.
Come on, I love the comics, right? I grew up.
They're called the funnies.
Yeah, the funnies. You got to have the funnies. And then there's like the editorial section. There's a sports section, right? So when you guys look at it, are there certain sections you just have to have? That's part of the paper. These 5 sections. How do you
Yeah,
look at
well, I mean, I think we're in a really interesting time right now where the people that are subscribing to newspapers are doing so because they love newspapers. So
Yeah.
we don't want to get rid of things that traditionally make something a newspaper. If you take away an element that speaks to the tradition of newspapers, at this point it's almost like
That's
erasing history. So you don't want to do that. But at the same time, we've always got to be thinking about being cutting edge in some ways too. But a lot of that we try to do through our approach rather than the components. So I've really not changed anything structurally in the newspaper since I've been here. A couple minor changes to prospect during the revamp, but I don't even think they're things readers would notice not in a bad way. If anything, they'll notice it hopefully in a good way. But in terms of the Appeal Democrat, there's not really any structural changes I made in terms of who the columnists are and where everything sits in the paper, what all the sort of ancillary features are in the paper. All of that is the same. It's really just remustering resources around local coverage. That was all the feedback the publisher had been getting prior to my arrival. So it was a real clear path of where we needed to go.
Yeah, I think that there is something about, I know you can get the paper online. I know that. I get harassed all the time, but there's something. I mean, is it just me? Is there something about holding it in your hands?
Yeah, it's cool.
I mean,
It's really
am I
cool.
wrong? I mean, it's like I just think.
The company I was at before went through that transition where they'd been in print for 34 years, and then because of the pandemic, they had to go digital. And then I got to hear, as the person running that page, and that wasn't my call, that was the ownership's call, but I mean, I got to hear as the editor of that publication for the next 4.5, 5 years how irritated everyone was by that and how much they missed the physical newspaper, right? So I don't know. I think it's one of those things that people don't really know how much they love it till it's gone. And,
Buddy,
so
there's a truth in that.
because I never would, I mean, I guess I would have, I should say some of my younger colleagues probably never would have guessed how much people in that last company, how much people miss the physical print once it was gone,
Yeah, if you're used to going online all the time. You're listening to 93Q, KETQ, Yuba City, LPFM. Now, I didn't do any of that right, but I still got it out.
Even though we're in Marysville.
It's on there. Huh?
Even though we're
Even
in
though we're in
Marysville.
Marysville, we're licensed to Yuba City.
But
listen, there was something about that. Go ahead.
For the people that do like reading on their phones or reading on their laptops, we're putting, we're maintaining the website in real time every single day, and here's the thing. If you get a subscription to the Appeal Democrat, you get unlimited access to that website, and you can read 100 stories on your phone in a month, right, with that subscription. So
they come together.
They come together, yeah. There's an all-pass subscription.
know
So
Ray is right. Not Ray. Kurt's writing it down.
Yeah. So, because we have to understand, we got to meet people where they're at. We have a lot of people that love the traditional paper. We have a lot of people that like to just read on their phone because they're doing their whole life on their phone. That's fine. So, if you
I have no idea what that says. The break?
Yeah. So,
Oh, the brick. Oh, I
do we
am
need to-
sorry. The Rough Notes and Casual Thoughts is brought to you by the Brick Coffee House and Cafe. It was down on D Street. Great food. Kurt and I actually ate there yesterday.
Oh, I had a peach smoothie, and it was delicious.
And then also Cassidy and Associates, who we've still not found out really who the associates are. But John's not here to defend himself. I'm sorry. So go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I was just saying that, if for the people that like to read on their phone or like to read on their laptop, if you get a subscription to the Appeal Democrat, you can read unlimited access to that website, because the people that don't have a subscription are limited to 5 stories a month, which is not much, right?
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is keep the physical traditional newspaper alive and healthy, but also meet the other folks where they're at too, and give them the product they want. And it's actually not as difficult as it sounds. The infrastructure is there, the team is there. It's really honestly at this point messaging and getting the word out.
Does a newspaper have a photographer? They just have somebody, that's what they do? Because I know that people submit stuff, because I know Chris Pedigo.
Well, we do have a photographer, Chris Pedigo. He's just not on staff, but
that guy,
he's amazing.
Amazing man, just an amazing man. So kudos, Chris.
Yes.
We love you out there, bro.
Well, when you talk about like people being part of the newspaper who aren't technically employees, he'd be the biggest example above all of the him and the regular columnists that you see every week. All of them are they play a huge role in making the Appeal Democrat what it is on a weekly basis, and they're not employees. They're community members who care.
Yep, I love that. I love that. So, Ray, that doesn't mean he's not going to pay you. You're a hired hand.
I think Ray's still a while from making that transition Chuck just made.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just happy to be here.
I mean, speaking of one of your regular hosts, Chuck Smith's still really involved.
Yeah.
And he's still doing Rough Nose Casual Thoughts every week, and
I'm surprised he hadn't texted us.
Yeah, and he's helping out. Listen, he's helping out behind the scenes in ways I won't even get into, but he's still really involved. Yeah.
Man, I just wanted to take opportunity with Scott, because we haven't really had a chance to do that on this show. We're covering other stuff, but I think everything changes all the time. But if you don't have some things that remain, people can't handle the change. I once had a pastor say to me, he was talking about, it was a very large church, and he said, I never take something away that I don't give them something else. He said, because it's just people's nature, right? It's like, oh, I'm so used to that. So when you think about it, you kept both. You kept the print and then added the online, right?
Yeah.
Which I think then, everybody can do that. And I think it's the same. I'm glad to hear how many local people get involved in the production of the newspaper.
Yeah, and we have space for more. Look, we're running an 8 to 10 page broadsheet 5 days a week. So people who have interest in getting involved, contact me and we'll talk,
All right. Look forward to the fish column, not the fishing column, the fish column.
All right.
It'll be right next to the comics, or as Kurt says, the funnies.
Yeah.
We're putting mine over
How
there.
about In the Tank with Fish? Paper version.
The paper in the tank. Well, lately we've been doing more out of the tank. There's so much going on. You guys were talking about the events that happened on Saturday, and it's like I tell people all the time, they say, well, there's nothing to do. I don't know where they live.
There were a lot of people out Saturday. Those events were well attended. There was a fundraiser going on in Colusa. That was well attended. Saturday was, in the whole area, was bustling.
I think we missed that, and then you guys have part of the paper is events, telling people what's coming up, and if somebody wants to put an event in, do they just call?
Yeah, you can call. It's a little easier and quicker to email the information.
email it, yeah,
but
like
I mean,
a flyer.
but not every, I know not everybody loves email, so you can call if
love
that's
email.
for the people who it's not their thing. You can call too, or some folks just come by the office, introduce themselves, and hand us a piece of paper. Yeah. That's always fine too. We love to meet folks, love to say hi to the community. So now with a full staff, usually people are always in the newsroom, even when the reporters are out and about. But between the four of us that actually work there, myself, Ray, Joe, and Jeff. Again, Jerry's stationed up in Corning, but I mean, so yeah, a lot of times someone's there working, if not all four of us, and so you can drop stuff off as well. And we're trying to get more previews of local events on the front page as well. Sometimes it makes more sense to have it as a calendar entry or a news brief, but we're for the bigger events, we're trying to 2 weeks out, like do a story to let people know. We were able to do that with Taco Fest. We were able to do that at the block party. We're doing that this week with the Color Run. It's one of the new theater productions in Yuba City. Like we're, Big Boy, all that stuff. Yeah.
That train was amazing. We went out and shot that one. We need to go over to the Appeal Democrat. Everybody told me I was inside that building once.
Oh,
they
yeah,
said it's an amazing building. It's huge.
It's huge.
I worked there back in 1979 when it was over on G Street, and my brother still works there. He's the longest, the longest serving employee. He's been there for over 40 years. He works in the press room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
well, that's what you.
Happy birthday, Dale.
Oh wow! We'll have to tell him. Yeah. Is he working tonight or? Okay. Got his birthday off.
He's out partying. It's his birthday.
Yeah. Well, that's really what people would want to see is the press. I mean, the building is very big. It's from a time when there were 50, 60 people in there. But the press is amazing. It's one of the reasons that the physical newspaper is still viable, and so because there's only a couple big newspaper printing presses in this whole region, and our parent company owns both of them. One is right here in Marysville, which I think is the bigger of the two, and the other's in Auburn, right? So all of that, see, my last company didn't own a printing press, and that's one of the reasons when the pandemic came, they had to go digital, it matters a lot, and so I think that's really what people would want to see is like the press is what's really impressive about the building, But we've got like a vintage printing press from probably the 1880s or something in the lobby
Does it say
too.
Gutenberg on it?
Oh gosh, we have to look. Like, we took Mike Thompson's picture in front of it. I know that.
Yes. Yeah, he came in for an interview. He's a pretty cool guy, but it's like I'm that way. There's something about machinery. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is. I don't care. I just want to see it and then see what it does, right?
Yeah.
And so, we'll do that. I think that's a great idea. What do you think, Kurt? A little out of the tank and into the paper. Because it's right over there by Fischetti Cove.
That's right. He's down from the ballpark.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, we got that games coming up real quick. I do want to mention that. We do a sports show on Saturdays at 4 o'clock here with Todd Coonan, who has been the announcer over at Bryant Field for 9 years. I think this is his 10th year. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is they're still looking for host families for these ball players that can come in, and so it gives them an opportunity to do that. And I just think I love baseball, and we'll be doing the games again live on the radio, and there may be a chance that we can put them on TV because they're going to have 5 cameras over there. 2 of them are AI. They'll follow the ball. That's amazing.
That's crazy.
Think about it. All the technology just is crazy to me, So that'll be next, right? I do want you to know the Appeal Democrat has refused to hire any AI reporters.
This is true. I'm not going to apologize for that. If only... Well, I won't say it. If only some other well-known newspapers in the area had that same philosophy.
Yeah. AI can write stuff, but it's not the same. It's not. Yeah, it's very.
It also
different.
can make a lot of mistakes and invent a lot of things that aren't true.
True. Yeah. I wanted to say this, right? And it's
right now, those news organizations that have let AI write stories from them have really been burned and come to regret it because it does what they call hallucinations. It invents things that aren't true. It's the same reason the Nevada County District Attorney's Office has gotten so much trouble for one person there let AI write a brief for court, and the judge figured it out, and the defense figured it out, and there's probably going to be all kinds of professional repercussions for that because the AI created case law that didn't exist in the brief, and that's why they figured it out. So now, listen,
it's not worth it.
Well, my stepson is in college for computer sciences right now. He's pretty confident it won't always be that. The technology won't always be that stupid, but right now it's kind of crazy to let it do journalism, I think. So
somewhere you lose the people. It's like,
so
you know how things progress, right? So you'll have AI writing stories that are read by AI. Just cutting out the middleman called human.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's no humanity involved.
Yeah.
When you want to send a human out to cover a human interest story,
well,
it's not
this
there.
is why Ray said he likes the humanity.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Ray, you don't want AI to take your job, do you?
Absolutely not.
Henry Luce, the founder of Time Magazine, said, "I became a journalist to get as close as I could to the heartbeat of the world."
That's right.
That is not
Great
something
line.
AI is going to do.
Yeah.
It will never understand the human condition the way a person can understand it. So,
Oh, are we done?
Are we?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize we. Yeah,
It's your
we're fine.
station. You can go. You can.
That's really true. I love that I can do whatever I want. Right.
Yeah.
So, any last words, gentlemen? Not last words like
Ray,
last words.
I've been dominating the mic. Ray, what do you want to say?
Not really, other than it's super good to be back in the Eber-Sutter region. And I appreciate the opportunity to work for the Appeal Gazette,
Yeah. Yeah. We're,
the Appeal Democrat.
yeah. I heard that. I thought.
I'll be taking my last paycheck.
So Scott said, I haven't changed a lot of things. So when it comes out next month as the Appeal Gazette, we'll know we'll know where it came from.
Well, I guess they tried to rebrand it as just the Appeal a few years ago. Like I was told that. I don't know the
Did
whole
they?
background
Oh, I
on that. I think their concern was that if people don't understand history and the history of American political parties and the history of the various newspapers that became,
They just assign it to.
well,
yeah.
they would just they would think that it's affiliated with one political party because and listen, I understand there's been all kinds of concern about that. Anyway, the last number of years it's been brought to my attention, but I've just tried to message to everybody that it's going to be fully independent and for everybody.
Well, and I can hear that coming out of you, and I've felt the change, right, that has occurred, and I think ultimately you have to fit the community. Years ago, when I played in a rock band, and one day we were, us guys were sitting around, and we had played this gig, and we were playing classic rock, and there was a bunch of young people at the table, and it was for a corporation. It was down at the governor's mansion, and this table started yelling, "Disco, disco!" Now, when you have to consider your audience, the last thing you want to say is, disco sucks, we don't play that. Right? Next thing you know, we're getting ice thrown at us, right? And so you learn, consider your audience. I don't care what it is.
Read the room.
Read the room, exactly. And it's like, so for me, this community is incredibly wonderful and made up of a lot of different people. But there are certain elements of our community that are stayed. We have a military base right here. That's not going to change. That base ain't going anywhere. We have a community college right here. And I know they're out there, but they're here, right? We have a regional hospital. Not just a hospital, we've got a regional hospital right here in our area. We have the best community radio station in all of the state of California.
10.
Right?
10-4.
That was like a what do they say, shameless advertisement for us. So anyway, you have been watching Rough Notes and Casual Thoughts. We want to just say thank you to Chuck Smith for coming up with I think Chuck came up with the idea of doing this as the radio version, and every Saturday that column, Rough Notes and Casual Thoughts, is in the Appeal Democrat.
By the great Chuck Smith.
By the great Chuck Smith. Edited. Do you have to edit everything? Do you have to look at everything?
You have to read everything, yeah.
Oh my God!
But Chuck's columns are fun to read. All of our regular columnists are great. Like you know, they bring so much more information than if it was just the reporters. You know, so but we have to we have to even sort of kind of keep our eye on even the wire stories we're running. So yeah, it's a bit we stay busy all day long.
Yeah. So let me get this right, Scott. In the end, it's your neck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Oh, welcome aboard. I get that here. If something goes wrong here, I can't blame Kurt.
Yeah.
I've tried. It doesn't work.
Yeah. So.
Ray, thanks so much for coming on. Glad I met you. Welcome back to the neighborhood that you like, and be looking forward to the stuff that you're doing. And we appreciate Jeff Larson. I haven't met Joe yet, but appreciate Jeff Larson. Great sports stuff. And the Appeal, I'm telling you folks, if you haven't read it in a while, you might want to sign up, because everything is just great local coverage. And I mean, that's what I like. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll be back with what's that other guy's name? You know, the big tall. He's like a basketball guy. What's his name? Anyway, we'll be back next week, same time at 9:30 on Wednesdays, right here on your community radio station. And go to 93QTV on YouTube and check out our new TV.
California grow, yeah. California grow. Me and the boys doing all we know. Yeah, there's nothing quite like this place that I call home. California grow, yeah. California grow.